I'm being watched. They just don't want me to know it. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Chartreuse Leprechaun. My name is Mark, your host, and it's once again time for that monthly update video. And yeah, we've actually had a few things go on this last month, mostly cool things, really. We got programming stuff to go over, we've got tech stuff to go over, and, last month, I went over being a stroke survivor and how that affects the channel, and I said we had stuff to cover about a rare migraine complex I suffer from, and I said I'd do it another time. Well, partially due to circumstances beyond my control, this will be that time. I hope you'll stay tuned for that. But like I said, cool stuff going on around here. As always, I've got the timestamp set up down below so you can watch straight through, you can skip around, totally up to you. So let's get started. With programming news, there are 3 things I want to talk about, and the first one is game series. You see, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be ending one of our series, possibly 2 of them. You know it could even be all 3. Right? Well, that would be problematic. Well, that's one way to put it. And I need suggestions for the next games to play, so please make your suggestions in the comments below. And remember, game suggestions are always welcome, anytime. Also, I'm considering a programming change about how many games I play and how many episodes of those games I publish. Currently, we do 3 different series, each with 1 episode per week. Which means it takes a long time to complete a series. Fallout 4 was 48 episodes, aka weeks. Dismantle is at 39 episodes, still going. BioShock, which was a pretty short game, was 29 episodes. Let's face it, that's a long time. What I'm thinking of doing is cutting back to 2 game series, but making 2 episodes a week instead of 1. Now, that would cut the run time in half, so 20-something weeks instead of 40 or more for Dismantle. That's what that change would mean. But would that actually be a change for the better? I'm not sure. So let me know what you folks think in the comments. And that brings me to the second topic, which is Leprechaun stories. Leprechaun stories are an integral part of the channel. After all, making up those stories was what spawned the Chartreuse Leprechaun idea in the first place. But I found those super short videos are actually a problem. As I understand it, YouTube bases its recommendations on watch time and retention time. So let's say you create 30-minute videos and 1-minute videos. All the views of your shorter videos lowers the average watch time and lowers the retention time on the channel, which actually causes YouTube to recommend your videos less. So I decided to try doing Leprechaun stories as shorts. On the plus side, the shorts have been getting a lot of views. One of them had over 500 views. I've never had that happen before. That's pretty cool. Unfortunately, it hasn't helped the channel. In fact, that may have actually hurt the channel. And the reason for that is, well, YouTube. As best I understand it, there's actually 2 algorithms at work, one for the shorts and one for the longer content. And those algorithms, they don't talk to each other. Recommendations and subscriptions for one have no relationship to recommendations and subscriptions for the other. And YouTube actually admitted all this at the latest VidCon. Meanwhile, YouTube is pushing shorts to compete with TikTok. So if you don't publish shorts, there will be less discovery of your channel. And if you publish shorts, your long-form content gets recommended less because the algorithm thinks the shorts audience is who you're trying to reach. So splitting the stories off as shorts actually didn't do anything good for the channel. The shorts view time doesn't even count toward the overall view time on the channel, and it doesn't count towards monetization. Interesting side note. Shorts aren't even monetized because YouTube hasn't figured out how to make that work yet. Now, monetization is not an issue for us right now here at the Chartreuse Leprechaun. It takes 1,000 subscribers before you can even contemplate getting that. We've got 127 at the time of this recording. But monetization is a big deal for the YouTube community, and YouTube broke it with Shorts. Huh. YouTube broke YouTube. Huh. Imagine that. Meanwhile, the people who subscribe because of your Shorts content don't get recommended your long-form content, and vice versa. And long-form content is the only way YouTube pays creator. But YouTube is telling creators that to get ahead, you must do Shorts. It's a really bizarre system. Some creators have created second channels for their Shorts. I'm not going to do that. This channel's small enough, I don't think it would help much in the first place. And it also means more work, which my brain is not up to. And we'll get more into that later. So the plan is to keep publishing the Leprechaun stories as Shorts. If YouTube fixes this broken system, Shorts will support long-form content, vice versa, and we'll be well positioned for it. You realize, of course, that's probably putting too much faith in YouTube, right? Yeah, there's a lot of broken parts to YouTube that they've shown no interest in fixing. We'll see about this one. Eventually. Anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying if you want to catch the weekly Leprechaun stories, check out the Shorts. You may have to go directly to the videos page of the channel to find them. It's the way YouTube works. On the other hand, I will be publishing the collections on random Sundays once I get about 7 or 8 minutes worth of them. So if you aren't watching the Shorts, you can catch the Leprechaun stories that way. And the last of the 3 subjects I want to touch on is editing. Last month, I said I only do 1 edit pass on videos, and good editing should include at least 2 passes. So this month, I tried doing 2 passes while also doing 2 Leprechaun stories. And between the 2 passes and the 2 Leprechaun stories, it did not take long for brain issues to crop up. Brain fatigue increased, which meant physical fatigue increased. I started isolating myself to compensate so I could still get my work done. Mild headaches started being a regular thing, and there was more. And all of it is varying degrees of bad. So we're mostly back to 1 editing pass. So far, that seems to have helped. The question of how much trouble was caused by the editing and how much doing a second Leprechaun story factored in, well, I guess we find out now. Which brings me to the subject of migraines. You know, the thing we didn't talk about last month. Yeah. Let me just say that migraines suck, and they are not understood by most folks. For example, when I say the word migraine, most people think of really bad headaches. Well, migraine headaches are bad and can even be crippling, but that's not all there is to migraines. Not even close. There are several common migraine symptoms, aside from headaches. In fact, you can have a migraine without having a headache. And there are lots of other less common migraine symptoms, though. The weirdest, fairly common symptom for me is called Alice in Wonderland syndrome. It's named after the story because that's what you experience. Lewis Carroll, who wrote Through the Looking Glass, was a migraine sufferer. And it's believed he wrote the story to describe what he experienced during a migraine. Not sure that's actually stated anywhere, so I won't call it fact, but what he described is a very real thing. Your perceptions go weird, just like in the story. You feel taller. You feel shorter or heavier or whatever. Everything around you, walls, floors, furniture, people, everything appears wobbly and warped. It's really, really weird to experience, and you don't need drugs to do it. Now, aside from regular migraines, there are 12 rare migraine types. They call them variants, and they each come with a very specific symptom. I suffer from a migraine variant called hemiplegic migraines, or HM. The really specific symptom to this is one-sided weakness. Well, today is August 13th, and I'm actually experiencing one of those migraines right now. It's been building for a couple of days, and the interrupter meds haven't worked. I also haven't recorded this month's personal video yet. I'm still hoping to get to it, though. And you're hearing my small dog snoring under my desk and around my chair, so I'm sorry for the strange noises, but I am not chasing them off today. I love our dogs. They are amazing. whenever I experience one of these migraines events, I can't talk. They will not leave me alone. Some combination of the four of them, the three small ones and the one big one, they're always with me. I don't know how they know, but they do, and it's awesome. Anyway, the migraine. Let's talk about things you can see. You can watch my face and see that the left side of my mouth is not moving the same way the right side does. You may or may not be able to tell that my left eye is not opening to the same degree as my right. Now, I can force them to work at the same degree, like when you visit the doctor and they say smile real big, meaning, force your mouth into a massive smile. Well, I can force both sides of my mouth to the same point, but in normal operation and use, it's not even close. Things you can't see on the video because I'm not doing them, but if you were to see me out there, you would. When I walk our bigger dog, who's not in here with me, I drift to the left. It takes a serious concentrated effort to stop that. Usually it means I have to partially turn my body to the right so that I go straight up the sidewalk. One other thing that shows up is a limp. It's this weird limp, shuffle, step, gait that only shows up with the left-sided migraine weakness. Now, the things you can't see. The left side of my face has partial numbness. It's from the eye and cheek back to the ear. Side note, wearing headphones is a problem because it puts pressure on the nerve bundles in these areas. This area in particular makes editing really hard. My ability to concentrate right now is heavily reduced. Maybe you can see that, or at least recognize it's going on. With concentration problems comes brain fatigue. Really, I'm either sleeping or I wish I could sleep. And you can hear, I think you can probably recognize my voice is fading. It's getting rough. It's concentration. At this point, I'm actually wondering if I'll get all of this week's videos done. I don't know. What brings on these events? Moderate exercise is one trigger. For example, walking more than, say, 5,000-ish steps a day, several days in a row. Yeah, that'll bring one on. Intense emotional events, getting really mad for right or wrong reasons. Getting excited during sporting events. Intense brain activity is a trigger. For example, I love ice hockey, but I can only stay focused through about 2 periods of play, which makes overtime games really hard. And then there's YouTube. I'm sure you're noticing, as I brought up a minute ago, that I'm fading the longer I go with this. Having to think my way through all of this is not helping my brain at all. But I'm actually glad I had this event now so I could record it and show you what this is like. When you factor in normal daily activities, doing bills and chores, heck, even relationships, 8 to 10 hours a week on YouTube is that's about the limit. And I have one of these events at least a couple times a month. Knocks me down for at least 2 complete days, leaves me at reduced ability for a couple more on both sides of the event. This is what migraine sufferers, migraineurs, think entrepreneur, but it's just migraines. This is what we go through. And there's 3, 4 stages to a migraine. There's the prodrome, which is where it leads up and you know it's coming. There's the aura where you start seeing and feeling things on the periphery of your sensory abilities, and you may get visual disturbances, your hearing may go weird, and then there's the actual migraine event, which in this case is not accompanied with a headache. I'm not having a headache. There's some dullness on this side with the nerve issues. There's maybe some pain on the outside, but it's not in the brain. So, yeah, that's welcome to my life. And now I'm going to go back to bed. A common, very accurate description for HM goes something like this. Imagine having a stroke over and over and over, except you don't actually have one. And for me, those started after a very real stroke in 2010, and it was 6 years and 4 neurologists, including headache specialists, before I got to the one who diagnosed it properly. In between were years of ER trips to get checked out, years of wondering if it was another stroke, years of financial drain that, I'll be honest, nearly bankrupted us. And the family stress was insane, still is. My kids are a wreck because of it. Our relationships are a wreck because of it. If you feel a little confused by all this, you are not alone. Migraine variants are not understood even among the headache specialists in the neurology community. And that's the world of stroke survivors, and for that matter, people with serious chronic illnesses. Okay, so that was a long TLDR, and I hope all this paints a picture of some of the demons we deal with around here. At least it should explain a few things about our gameplay, video edits, voiceovers, and hopefully more than that. Speaking of demons, it's time for our tech education segment. The part of the video where I talk about what we've learned on the technical side during the last month. And before we talk about the remaining demons around here, let's talk about one we got rid of. We had a major victory against the Leprechaun this month. A month or so ago, we started having rendering issues in games. Only on some of the newer titles and usually in the late game, but it became noticeable, and that should be a thing of the past now, because we scored an RTX 3080 graphics card, brand new, not used, for under MSRP. Just under, but under. And it's already installed. Our GTX 1660 is now retired from my computer and will soon be installed in my son's computer, which is also known as our backup computer, where it's paired with our old Ryzen 5 2600 processor. Yes, we know he needs a better processor like a 3600X or better, but seeing as how this combo is replacing a Ryzen 5 3400G, this'll do. And it's a bit of an upgrade, and he's happy about it, so yay! And now about those remaining pesky demons. There are 2 of them, and their names are sound and lighting. As I'm sure you all noticed in last month's update video, the audio was a mess. Okay, to be honest, it was a disaster. So was the lighting and the camera placement. Camera and lighting placement were easy fixes. Sound? Not so much. The biggest part of the train wreck is the EQ and the filters we use in post-production. You see, the ones I created for the old room, yeah, they don't work so well in here. Fortunately, we always, usually get better every month. I mean, the sound is better in our experiments this month, so we're gaining ground, right? On that subject, I want to move away from condenser microphones and try dynamic ones. It should be a big upgrade, so we'll actually be trying out some of those microphones starting next month. Our first experiment will be with a Samsung Q9U. I've heard there are problems with this one in certain sound ranges, so we'll just see how it goes. And by the way, budget constraints due to disability, income, all of that, they limit what we can try out. I've got several on the list to try out. But if you have recommendations in the $100 range, please put them in the comments. This time, unlike the train wreck video we made last month, we'll keep using our existing microphone setup until I get those dialed in. I won't try and do it on the fly in a video. Yeah, I learned that lesson. You know the drill. Order, receive, test, return, order, receive. Eventually, you find the one that hits the sweet spot, and you stop the cycle. When it comes to lighting, we're getting another set of lights. Nothing fancy, same as the last set. Yes, they're cheap, but just like the last set, they work just fine for our processes. There's nothing wrong with inexpensive when it works. And we're trying out reflector panels. I've never worked with these before, and I don't really know much about using them, but I'm enjoying learning. The goal is to reduce or eliminate some of the shadows as well as create better highlights. We'll see. So let me know in the comments how you think we're doing and include any suggestions you may have on how to make better use of this stuff. Please and thank you. And now for the real health news. There's not much going on in health news, but none of it is good. My neurologist of choice will no longer be available after this month. I'm told she's retiring. That is an absolute bummer. She knew how to treat this particular migraine. Finding something of her caliber will be tough. Heck, given that I'm told she's number 3 in the country, it's likely to be pretty darn near impossible, especially on the limited doctor list of my insurance company. You know, the insurance that says there are no neurologists that specialize in headaches, that any neurologist will do. So what I have is a doctor who was honest enough to tell me they can't fix any of the migraine problems and they have no idea how to treat other stuff. And that kind of honesty goes a long way with me. So we continue to experiment around here, trying to find the limits of what I can do on the channel while still functioning in my family and community. And finally, given that the disability hearing is on September 22nd, I'm going to postpone the September personal video till after the hearing, so it will be in October instead. It seems reasonable to do it after the hearing so I can include any news. And if a favorable one is decided verbally at the hearing, it can still be months before the paperwork gets done and actually goes into effect. Gotta love the speed at which government operates, right? Yeah, sure we do. Well, this episode is already going way longer than I planned thanks to all the migraine content, so once again, I'm going to skip our normal spiritual note. Thank you for listening to me ramble about all of this. I hope you found it helpful for yourself or maybe for someone else. I remain pretty excited about what lies ahead for us here at the Chartreuse Leprechaun, and I hope you are too. Leave us any suggestions you may have to help us get better. I asked for some help on a couple of things. Anything else you want to suggest is welcome. We genuinely want to get better, and we would like to have your feedback to help us do that. Hit that like button, subscribe, set yourself up for notifications, all that wonderful stuff so you don't miss anything around here, and, also to keep the YouTube algorithm happy with us. Please help keep the YouTube algorithm happy with us. Thank you. And if you'd like to support us here at the Chartreuse Leprechaun, check out the Patreon and merch and Koji links in the description below. And finally, my usual warning to everyone. The Leprechaun is out there to mess things up. It's what he does to you, to me, to everyone, everywhere, all the time. So keep your eyes open. And remember, always, always, always remember, if you see it and you can't quite explain it, you can be absolutely positive the Leprechaun did it. Now you have yourselves a great day, a great week, and we will see you here next time on the Chartreuse Leprechaun. Bye-bye.